Why is the running back position and its value suddenly the talking point around the NFL? Where did the controversy on paying elite-level running backs come from? And how does the NFL and GMs fix the situation that's plaguing the league right now and causing a severe divide between the players and their franchises? Let's take a look at both sides and understand the complexity of the situation. Right now in the NFL, just 6 running backs are making an annual salary of $10 million or more. They are Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, and Aaron Jones. There are more than 3 other star running backs who have been franchise tagged ahead of the 2023 season. Tony Pollard with the Dallas Cowboys, Josh Jacobs with the Las Vegas Raiders, and Saquon Barkley with the New York Giants, who then signed a new 1-year deal that would help him to make ever so slightly more money in 2023. Of the 3 backs tagged, 2 of them refused to sign the deal. Both Josh Jacobs and Saquon Barkley came out of the previous season with superb numbers, finishing in the top 4 in the league in rushing, and yet no long-term deal was agreed. From the player's perspective, signing a franchise tag could signal the last contract they ever sign if they suffer a severe injury during that year. As one of the most contact-heavy positions in the game, that fear is justified, but the franchises have grown wise to the risk involved with paying running backs heavy contracts, and there's a long list of reasons as to why you just shouldn't do it. Let's take a look back at some of the biggest extensions we've seen in recent years and how the players' careers looked after signing the new deal. Let's rewind to the 2018 offseason. Remember David Johnson's breakout year with the Arizona Cardinals? Barely, right? Well, David Johnson's second year in the NFL was sensational. He ran for 1,239 yards and a mammoth 16 rushing touchdowns, while also catching 80 passes for 879 receiving yards and another 4 TDs. Johnson was the #1 guy in fantasy football the following year.
I got David Johnson.
And one of the hottest young running backs in the game. Because that season was just that good, the Cardinals were locked in on him. The following year, the anticipation for Johnson's 2017 season erupted, but he dislocated his wrist in the first game of the season and his season was done. Despite the injury, the Arizona Cardinals handed him a 3-year extension. It was $39 million, averaging out at $13 million per season. The Cardinals put their faith in him to be a core piece of their offense for the following 3 seasons, but it didn't work out at all. Johnson never replicated that form when he returned from injury. Sure, he had a decent year in 2018, but he didn't look like the same player he was 2 years earlier, and the following year in 2019, things got worse. Johnson started just 9 games, ran for 345 yards, and converted only a mere 2 touchdowns. That's a far from ideal scenario to be paying $13 million for, and in March 2020, he was traded to Houston in the DeAndre Hopkins deal. The running back never returned to his 2016 form, and the contract made a nasty dent in the Cardinals' salary cap, while his form slowly diminished over the following 2 seasons. That same summer, Todd Gurley of the Los Angeles Rams inked a 4-year deal. This one was $60 million, averaging $15 million a season with a whopping $45 million guaranteed. The deal made him the highest paid running back in the league, and at the time, it looked justified. Gurley had dominated the 2017 season, and his form had surged after struggling in his sophomore year as a pro. His 3rd season marked a career year, carrying the football for 1,305 yards and 13 touchdowns while posting 788 receiving yards and another 6 TDs. Gurley brought in over 2,000 total yards to the Rams' offense. That is an elite accomplishment for any running back. The franchise running back was the heartbeat of the offense, and he was a dashing highlight reel all the time. Gurley won the NFL Offensive Player of the Year award for his efforts, and the Rams rewarded him with the mega deal. Now, in fairness, the 2018 season, Gurley was still superb. He managed 21 total touchdowns and another 1,251 rushing yards and 588 receiving yards, helping the Rams all the way to the Super Bowl against the New England Patriots. That said, he had started to deal with knee issues and perhaps looked like he'd lost a level of explosiveness in his game. Sure enough, when the 2018 season ended, it was confirmed that Gurley had, in fact, developed arthritis in his knee. Gurley was still a contributor in 2019, but his impact was reduced to being effective in the red zone in short yardage situations. He still managed 12 touchdowns, but that would be his final season with the Rams. Just 2 years into signing his 4-year extension, the Rams wanted out, and Gurley was released in March 2020. He signed with the Falcons and continued to try and play at his very best, but the knee issues were ever present, and he just didn't look like the same guy. After one very mediocre season in Atlanta, he was done. Gurley was just 26 years old when he played his final season in the NFL. Now, of course, not every running back is going to deal with a problem like arthritis, but they do continuously deal with lower leg injuries. They're running between the tackles sometimes 20+ times a game, and their bodies take more damage than any other position on the field. Ezekiel Elliott is another one who just hasn't looked the same since facing lower body injuries. His extension came in 2019, and we all remember just how good Zeke was in his first 4 seasons of pro football. Surely this one was a safe bet, paying the guy who had exploded into 3 seasons in 4 years with at least 1,300 rushing yards and an average of 10 touchdowns a year? Unfortunately not. Even though he's been available and suited up for nearly every game in his career, Zeke lost a step. You could see it on tape. He wasn't the same, and again, it was confirmed that he was dealing with lingering knee injuries. Tony Pollard was outperforming him by the time the Cowboys reached the 2022 season. And how much were the Cowboys paying him? Pollard was playing on a 4-year deal worth just over $3 million. His yearly average salary was $796,000 per year. That right there is the stark contrast between the cost and production of two running backs. One of those is one of the highest paid players on the team. The other is a former 4th-round pick making close to the league minimum. As an NFL team owner or GM, you can see exactly why teams are no longer offering lengthy contracts to running backs. Even Leonard Fournette's extension with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers turned out to be a disaster. Fournette initially signed a 1-year deal with the Bucs after being waived by the Jacksonville Jaguars. He came alive in the playoffs and helped them to a Super Bowl win over Kansas City with an inspired performance in the big game. And after signing 2 1-year deals with the team in back-to-back seasons, he was rewarded with a 3-year, $27 million contract in 2022. Fast forward just 1 season, and Fournette is on the market again. He was cut by the Bucs 1 year into his deal, and the proof of the risk in paying running backs reared its head once again. This 2022 offseason, not a single running back received a multi-year contract worth more than $7 million per year. Miles Sanders signed the best deal after a breakout year with the Philadelphia Eagles, but even his 4-year deal that he signed in free agency with Carolina only comes to $13 million guaranteed and an average of $6.25 million per year. Teams and their owners have just gotten wise to the idea of handing $12+ million per season to a running back. Jonathan Taylor and his camp are reportedly looking for $16 million per year. But even he, who is another outstanding young running back, has dealt with lower body injuries already in his short career in the league. Even the players already making big money have dealt with injuries. It's almost inevitable for the position. Christian McCaffrey has missed significant time. Derrick Henry missed half of the 2021 season. Even Aaron Jones has dealt with multiple knee injuries early in his career. The fact of the matter is that running backs just don't play into their 30s. Derrick Henry is the only starting running back who is older than 28, and he's still 29. Raheem Mostert splits carries in Miami, and he's 31, but we certainly don't want to go into his lengthy injury history. Even the backups. There's only one backup running back in the league right now who's 30 or older. Jerick McKinnon is 31 and the backup in Kansas City right now. NFL teams can collect new running backs through the draft every single year, and they will gladly replace you when your first contract is coming to an end. Teams have done so seamlessly, and not a single team that's won the Super Bowl in recent years had needed a highly paid running back in order to do so. The position is replaceable, and it's a business. Franchises will squeeze every ounce of production out of you, and then cut you loose in favor of a far younger guy with fresh legs. So how could they potentially fix the issue? Well, you could eliminate the option to franchise tag a running back, but good luck getting that approved by team owners. You could have the running backs' rookie contracts shortened so they hit free agency sooner and have the opportunity to test the market before the inevitable decline starts. Or you could have a specific allocation of the salary cap designated to the position. If a team has $15 million to spend on its group of backs, and they can't spend it anywhere else, they'd be more inclined to hand it out. All of these things would require significant approval around the league, and the circumstances are far from simple. One way or another though, this situation is going to need to be addressed. The problem you'll face is college running backs watching all this happen and deciding that maybe they'll try their hand at playing wide receiver or safety. Right now, it's going to be extremely difficult to look at a remarkably talented high school football player and not want to encourage him to learn to play defensive back if he thinks he's got a shot at making it in the league rather than running back. Josh Jacobs was arguably the best running back in the world last year. He led the league in rushing yards and dominated in a contract year, but he and the Raiders could not reach a contract agreement. He'll make $10 million on the franchise tag this year, but there's no guarantee he'll ever make a penny beyond that. So the controversy around the position continues. This is far from over yet. Hey, you made it all the way to the end. That's very kind of you. We invite you to stick around because we're on our way to 1 million subs. This is just the beginning. Trust me, you're going to enjoy the ride. Comment with your subscriber number for us to remember. Here's to future memories. As always, thank you for watching The Halftime Show.